No, I love this man. My man right here, he like fuck shit, fuck. That was that. Now see, but I will tell you, if you're gonna be an asshole villain, be an asshole about it. Because he sat up there just watch his ass just wiggle for a moment. You know your ass gone. Right?
Oh, first, DT merch.
Oh, fuck you, man. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch, you. I mean, well, since you said so. Let's talk about dtmerch.com. Got the holiday shirt and the sweaters right here. Hoodies. Got that classic black tee with the white logo. Backpack for you. Got the phone covers. The little tees. For the little ones out there, for all you toasties with babies, got something for your crumbs, and got that gift certificate for you. And oh my God, please hurry up and subscribe. This man, we need a subscription over here. Oh, well, too late. We're done. Thank y'all. Good night.
We done. Have we sold shirts yet?
Oh shit, I was ready in the show, Mark. Oh, I didn't know you were still alive. No, go over there and subscribe. Keep us going. And many ways to subscribe. Very easy for you. And when you do, you can get that. What's that, Sharonda? Get that toasty goodness all over. Oh, there it is, all over your body. She got it too. I love watching her wiggle like that. Talk about these engines up here, Martin. These mortal engines.
Oh, I thought you meant Native Americans.
Nah, man, nah. See if these engines got some horsepower to them, because it's based on a book. You know, this whole teenage, young people, YA dystopian thing been going on for a while, Martin. Everybody thought it started with the Hunger Games. No.
Go back to the 80s.
And go back all the way to the 80s, even though we're not going that far back with this. We're going to go back to 2001. Little book came out called The Mortal Engines from Philip Reeve. As you can see, Martin, it was on his 15th anniversary edition right there. And it was a hit because, you know, not only was it at that time, you know, even before all these other things hit, it was one of those movies books that was meant for young people, but they didn't shy from the darkness of the world. Nah. In fact, this one wasn't even dystopian. It was just downright apocalyptic in a way. Mankind has destroyed himself with the weapons that he's created. Finally did it. And, you know, people at that point, they even take the beginning of the movie, the weak died, the strong lived on. And as they begin to form society again, or reform society, everybody started dressing up like they were trying out for the movie Alice in Wonderland. They brought the top hats back, brought the corsets.
Yeah, but then the collapse of society, London decided to go back to the Victorian age.
Yeah, it you know, it does. When you tell it the way I'm telling it, it sounds silly, but one man saw it and said, you know what, I love this. This is going to be my next thing I'm going to do. Peter Jackson, he wanted to adapt this into a movie, but then he was working on The Hobbit. And he said, well, you know, I'm a little busy, but I still got a little time to help out with the script. And when the movie got started, he said, you know, I can even come in. I'm not going to direct this, but while my man is busy, because this movie is epic. It's huge. He says, you know, let me take some weight off my man over here and let me do a little second unit directing. And we're talking about a man who brought what some people said was an impossible feat. He brought the Lord of the Rings to life and made it as successful as it was. So people are saying, I don't care if this man did catering on this movie. You know, the Jackson touch is sure enough to make this movie a hit right here.
What happens when you find Hester Shaw? I will kill her.
When you get right down to it, when you watch the trailer, now I don't know how I avoided these engines, Martin. I had never seen the trailer for this. I had never seen any commercials on TV. As I was talking about it, earlier, I've become very sneaky with the movies. Usually when trailers are playing now, I'll run out and sneak food in. And so I have avoided this in all kind of ways. So,
and when I say they played it at the theater, they didn't play it in the actual theater on the screen. It'd be on those TVs out in the lobby.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't even look at those when I'm passing by. It's just background noise. So I was very under the radar with this, and when I saw this, the immediate thing that I noticed, I said, all right, you know what? This ain't nothing but porn for steampunk nerds. You know, steampunk is like this subculture of geeks that love what they would call pretty much Victorian age sci-fi. Now you've seen it before in movies, and it wasn't always Victorian age. Like if you've seen Wild Wild West,
right?
The Will Smith movie,
even the TV show,
which was made back in the
60s.
In the 60s. So this is not a new thing
70s,
here,
yeah.
but today is really caught on, and really when they're doing it, it does kind of harken back more to a Victorian sci-fi sort of look on the world. You know, it's a fantasy world where people have machines and computers and even robots, but it's all running by steam or coal or something. So you got these people who just love cosplaying with this. You know, they usually it's a guy with a handlebar mustache, a big top hat, and a giant wrench in his hand with goggles.
That could just be any Austinite, though.
Yeah, but that could be any craft brewery you go to around here. And in concept, this does feel kind of silly because, I mean, you like I said, man, you have pretty much the equivalent, because they tell you there's this thing called the 60-minute war.
Right. It's
pretty much these people have weapons that are even more dangerous and more destructive than nuclear weapons. But it's just, it is a nuclear holocaust that the world has suffered to the point that they even tore continents apart.
And a lot of tech was lost.
Yeah.
And so now whenever they find old tech that's sometimes our current tech, they're dazzled by it. Like, ooh, we got some of this.
Yeah.
Maybe we can put some stuff back together again.
But that baffles me, because they are puzzled by our technology, but these motherfuckers make computers out of scraps and toasters. Computers that talk. They make robots. And, and they look at a spark plug and like, my God, what is this? Computer, look at this computer. You got a computer and you're amazed by a spark plug? No bullshit. They look at toasters like, this wonderful machine here. And meanwhile, you got a city on wheels.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand. It's steampunk before later on it turns into Star Wars. When you apply the steampunk element to it, it goes to this other crazy level. Like I said, this is a dystopian future where it's not people just fighting each other for water and gas. It's not people just trying to make population control by having kids kill each other. No, when the movie started, I looked at this and I said, okay, I ain't never seen anything like this before. They have cities that eat other cities.
Yeah. They debo up on other cities.
Yeah, they call them predator cities, and they hunt smaller cities. Like London goes around. London chases smaller cities like a lion chases an antelope in the Serengeti. I was like, this is crazy, and they chase it down and they eat it. The city has a mouth. The city opens up and just takes a smaller city and
yeah, it consumes
it. And I looked at that and I was like, London just ate a city. That is pretty badass, man.
I thought so. I was just like, you know what? I'm dropped into this world, and I like that we're dropped into it and shit is going down. And the way it's designed, I'm like, you know what? Before I even try to figure out whether this works or not, I'm just going to take it as they're presenting it to me, and this is kind of cool because I've never seen designs like this before.
No, they like you saw when you first saw London roll up. I thought it really was some Mad Max shit going on. I thought it was I thought it was a car. I thought it was like an armored car with the British flag on it.
Yeah, I was thinking like a ship that's just like but rolls on the land.
See, you said a ship. I thought it was like a tank or something, a car. I just thought it was a souped up hoop that they had out there. Well, but then I looked. But then the camera went over and I was like, damn, that car got a lot of ants on it. And I was like, oh shit, those are people. I was like, wait a minute, is that a city? And then when they eat another city, they just consume the people. Now, I love the way the social structure is set up, with these cities being personified as creatures, as organisms, because when they consume a city, they bring the people in and they tell the people the way they have it set up. They call it I have it written right here. They call it some sort of Darwinism.
Yes, I forgot what that was.
It was called municipal Darwinism.
Yeah, municipal, which is a name. It sounds like something a crooked politician would use right now.
Yeah, it sounds like slavery in a way. Not only is this like Mad Max and kind of Star Wars, but as it went on, that they even pulled out in the middle of the movie, they pulled out a steampunk Terminator. Kids like, oh shit, help! And it's scary too,
because it makes that noise, that howl, much like the Prowler did in the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. When you see this, there's an element here where they introduce this Victorian Terminator, and before you even see it, it's just they ask it questions, and every answer is kill. I'm like, all right, we know what's on your mind. The design of it is great, man. Of this, and I'm not going to spoil too much of what they call it, the reanimated man.
Shrike.
Yeah, most badass zombie I've ever seen with a one-track mind. And I looking at all this come together, I thought, man, there is a lot of imagination that is going behind this. I used to look at steampunk and think like, man, it's the nerdiest thing I've ever seen, because you go to these conventions.
Yeah, it's weird because steampunk was one of those things where when I saw it from a distance, I thought that is so cool. But yeah, once you go to a convention and you see all the people who are way into it and how they are, then you're kind of like, you know what? Maybe not.
What they've done here, as far as creating a world, is an amazing thing. And for a movie to be this CG heavy and still make it something that seems like it's pretty immersive, I think it's an incredible job what they've done with the art direction here.
Well, I tell you something else they did that I thought they did a great job with was the action, the moving around these giant vehicles and how they showed the scale. It's the kind of thing where they said, oh, also available in IMAX, and you go like, what? And you watch it, you go like, yeah, I can totally get that, because these things feel gigantic when you watch them.
Well, that's when you talk about action, Martin. That is another great thing here, because we've seen thrilling car chases, but you ain't never seen a car chase where they carrying a whole city on top of their roof. They actually have car chases with these cities, and they're actually kind of thrilling.
Yeah,
there's moments where they don't see a cliff coming and they have to make these turns, and because this thing is carrying so much weight, you actually feel like these moving vehicles, which are cities, will topple over at any moment.
Yeah, because you don't, with a car you kind of know, but with these you don't know what the physics are on how it's going to do over bumps and hills, especially with all the weight it's carrying and all the pieces, and that there's people living on top of this thing.
Yeah,
these things.
It sounds, it's far-fetched, but fuck, that's why you got fantasy worlds. It's a thrilling ride through the action scenes and just to see this world reveal itself even more as the movie goes along. And then it's fun. It's sitting up there and it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, now let me meet some of the people that inhabit this world.
Boom, 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 boom.
You know what? This is a great place. I bet these some cool ass people here, man.
How you doing? No emotion, huh? Okay. Hey, what's going on with you? Wow, you just told me your whole life story. Okay, never mind.
It is like going to. Man,
okay. Oh, you're like this person from this other movie I was just in. Okay.
Man, it is like going to a party where they put all of the work into decorating the house. They hired all kind of people to come over. They made the most extravagant. They made the most extravagant event that you've ever been to.
And at first you're having a great time.
But then you go there and you start talking to people. You realize these are the most boring fucking ass people in here. Shit, I could be at home doing that. These characters here, they're interesting, but the movie's too wrapped up in its world, and as they like to say in criticism today, in its world building. With this film, the characters, while interesting, not very memorable. They have interesting backstories. They got cool scars. They got nice costumes.
They look like they're going to be very interesting.
Yeah. man, they got a cool haircut and some nice facial hair, but beyond that, they plateau.
Yeah.
And there is nothing to them. Your two main characters here. You got Tom, played by Robert Sheehan, and you got Hester, who's played by Hera. Now, I don't know, I'm going to say her last name wrong. Hill Mars daughter, I think is her last name. And like Tom is, when he's introduced, he's the naive, bumbling, but handsome, accidental hero who meets this tough mystery girl who's angry, tortured. She's like, don't you see my scars? I'm an angry bitch right now. And it's a nice intro when you see them. Like I said, they're very interesting. Nice to meet you. Pleasure. Tell me more about yourself. Oh, that's it? Cool. All right, fuck. You know, they outside of those descriptions that I just gave you, no matter how many adventures these two go on in this movie, they don't get past that introductory description of what we see.
Right.
You can kind of predict what is going to happen with these two. You know, they just from the description we gave you, the two very different people. They're always arguing. You know, they acting like kids in grade school. You know, always fighting each other, but you can tell they really like each other. And it's only when they get in danger that they start to show that they really care for each other.
What the hell is Southeast?
Scabs on a night hunt.
What are they hunting?
Us.
You know, if you don't like him, why you grabbing his hand like that? you know those moments in the movie where it's like, I could leave him and I should, but I kind of like him. You know, it's you can see where this is going. If you're going to have them getting involved with each other, that relationship needs charm and it needs personality, and it doesn't work if these people are just doing, these characters are just doing what is just required of them in the story without developing their characters and their relationship.
And nothing more than that. Because you want to kind of get to know who they are. And like you said, you get your first, however they're described in the first part of the script, well, that's all you get. A lot of what's going wrong with this is, because when I read about the book, I was like, okay, so apparently the stuff that we've been complimenting and liking is the stuff that's in the book. And every time they tried to simplify it or go away from that, all they did was just pinch stuff from Star Wars. I mean, by the second half of the movie, it's just steampunk Star Wars.
Well, I will say one thing that they did do right changing the book. There's some people out there complaining like, well, you know, they changed her character way too much. You know, why can't you let her character be like she is? That's sexist. And one of the things I'm talking about is her scars. Because as you've seen, as you've seen in the clips that we've shown you, you know, it's today shit that'd be cool,
right?
You know, shit I know hipsters who pay for scars like that to have that on their faces. In the book, they say she is fucked up.
Right?
Like there's people that have been. I know. There's people who've been doing like either going in and doing reconstructive imagery on some of the pictures, or there's a girl that went she's online and she just went ahead and just put prosthetics on her face so she could cosplay like that. And some people are like, well, you know, you changed that from the book. I'm like, you goddamn right you did. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna buy this dude falling for this chick like that. I'm sorry. Ain't nobody subtle in this. Like I said, they want you to know the characters right when you see them. You got the character Anna Fang. I forgot the actress's name. I know it's one word. She's kind of new on the scene, but you know, she's the and talking about. I mean, so far we mentioned Mad Max, we mentioned Star Wars, we even mentioned Terminator, and this movie just got so lost at one point. She came off the set of The Matrix because that is her description. It's like, you supposed to be the badass rogue. What makes you a badass? Oh, well, I got shades and a nice haircut, you know, and attitude. These characters are things that I want to get to. I do want to get to know them. I want to get their story. I want to see them develop. I want to see them work as a team. But this film, and if we can go back to, well, there he is right there, your man Peter Jackson. I feel like with him coming in and being part of writing the script, I feel like we're experiencing the same problems that we had with The Hobbit. The Hobbit was it was a simpler film. It was a film that we were supposed to like concentrate on these endearing characters, starting with Bilbo himself and the dwarves that we see later. Peter Jackson somehow just got too caught up in the scope of this world that his version of it that he created. And that's what's happening with this movie here. These characters who are supposed to be the ones that we enjoy following, that we enjoy hanging with, that we enjoy knowing, are being like gradually pushed to being second bit players to the spectacle of this film. Like I said, especially when telling who the characters are up front. You were talking about Hugo Weaving, man. What were you saying about him?
About how when his character first comes on, you get an inkling of what he's about, but you think, well, they might play it in such a way where what we see is not what we think it is, or it might be some subtlety to, some layers to who he is. And what is it, about 6 minutes before they just lay it down definitively?
Boy, this movie don't, like, some of these characters they kind of take their time with Hugo Weaving. They don't waste no time letting you know that he's the villain. It's about Martin, it's about 5 minutes into the movie where he's just being a dick.
I should go.
Yeah, you should.
Boy, my man was trying to hang on. Shit.
Because you think all they had to say was, you know she's lying, right?
Yeah, let me for all you dumbasses who are in these movies. Anytime some dude comes up to you after you heard some like real like juicy information, anytime another character comes up to you and says, "What did she just say?" and they got them crazy eyes and all up in your face, just say nothing. Just walk the fuck on.
I couldn't hear her.
Yeah,
she was falling.
Yeah, man, that bitch is crazy. I'm glad she gone. No, I love this man. My man right here, he like fuck, shit, fuck. That was that. Now see, but I will tell you, if you're gonna be an asshole villain, be an asshole about it. Because he said I could just watch his ass just wiggle from him. Like, you know your ass gone. Right? As I was saying, man, the story gets so big in scope that, and it is not just the characters that we see. There's new characters that just keep popping up as the story just kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger. And you know, this is something where it's taken from a book. I get it. So this book is creating his own mythology, but there's a moment here where they're taking their story so important, so in such a self-important way. Fine, do that with your story. That's what you have to do to have people believe in your world. But it does get when you lose interest when you don't have the characters to escort you around this world, when they're not interesting. You know, and by the time it goes full Star Wars, it even feels kind of muddled because they have all these side characters who they might not have to have a whole lot of screen time, but they are just bodies taking up space. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, it's one where they put more work into their costumes than in developing them, or just giving them stuff to say that we could have some kind of attachment.
Your creation is only as good as the characters that you have escorting you through it. And really here, they're very boring. There was a moment I do not apologize for because I tried. I fell asleep. I'm telling you, y'all, I was getting tired of these people. I didn't know what was happening and I dozed off and I woke up and you know, the funny thing is that I put everything together. I don't think, I didn't miss any in really, really important moments. The one moment I did miss, got it from this clip. When I fell asleep when they were running from the machines. I was like, okay, saw it, fill in the blanks. It's a rental. It's a good rental from a visual standpoint, but it's a rental. And with something that's trying to be as epic as this should have at least been a very high a very high matinee, if not a full price.
It's one of those things where the second half, or maybe even the last two acts, just they drag it down to a rental. There's a thing with these YA novel adaptations that makes everybody get unexcited. It's because they all keep falling into either they're just another version of Harry Potter or the Hunger Games or The Fault in Our Stars or Star Wars. This is not the first time this has been done with one of these where it just goes Star Wars. It's like, man, for one of these to take off, it's really got to break out of that. And I thought this might do it.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't feel like I wasted my time. I got some good visuals. I was there. I got a nice nap. I woke up refreshed. It's cool. It was all right. Yeah. Kind of felt, the movie actually felt like this. It was trying to hang on. It was like, I can do it. I can do this.
That was
no,
me.
really not. Shit. Fuck. But in the end, it fell in that pit.
Sure, it's the same thing that Luke falls off of in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Right down that chute.
All right. Let's bring Sammy and Corey in.
But yeah, kind of like you guys, when I first saw this, I only saw like a brief thing on it. Like I saw the big Comic-Con push that they had, and they just showed the city on the back of like these big vehicles or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, all right, this will be pretty dope. And then I get into the movie, I was like, all right, I kind of felt the same way you did. Like the first 10 minutes of it, you're watching, you're like, wow, this is really badass. There's all this stuff happening. I might have to go see this in IMAX soon. And I was like, all right, cool. And then the city gets things happen with the city.
Yeah,
and then it just comes to a grinding halt, and it was just baffling to me, like how bad it got. Tone didn't, like, it was never consistent. Like it felt like it was a Looney Tunes cartoon one moment, and then like in other moments it was like a serious like death game or like like a serious thing is happening. It's a mess of a movie, and it's so disappointing because I like the concept of them basically going like, all right, we're gonna go to colonial Britain again and take over all these small nations. Like I get what you're doing. Like this history.
That's actually kind of cool when you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
there's even a naval element to it where they're like hooking on to ships and like bringing them in and stuff. So it's like, yeah, I like that they were playing with ship fighting. I guess they had some sort of gun fighting, sword fighting. So that was very Star Wars to me, where you have all those types of methods. Even they have pilots, they have flying ships and stuff like that.
It feels like a mess, and I kind of thought the same thing. Martin and I talked about it a little bit after we left the theater, and he was like, maybe this was like a long series of books, and they just had to condense it down. Like, it's just 2 books.
Is it? Oh, it's just 2?
Yeah, it's just a book. It's like part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you're
I
just
thought
like,
it was.
That's other books, but yeah, I read that today, and I was like, oh.
You're like, then why did you have to do this? Like, what was the point? It's just weird, man. And the other thing, like, the whole time I was watching it, you guys compared it to Star Wars especially, I was getting those, like, feelings of, like, Jupiter Ascending, and especially Valerian watching this. It was like you had this beautiful world and everything that you set up, but the people you chose to populate it with aren't matching what you set up.
Right.
It's really depressing. It's like seeing a Picasso painting smeared with shit.
Yeah. No, because there's moments in the beginning where they're setting up the lore of like this world that's 1,000 years after our times, essentially. We're like the precursors. But then they'll make like iPhone jokes, like, look, here's an iPhone. It's so ancient. There's a couple other ones. I'll put one that's not too bad. It was like a toaster. Not toaster. Yeah, it was toaster.
Yeah.
Where it's like, ooh, this is like a vintage toaster. You can make toast with this. The spring's gone. But they do that several times. Like, are these people fucking stupid? Or are they brilliant because they're able to take this stuff and piece it together?
That's what we were saying. It's like you do all these amazing. Like I said, you built a robot. You brought a man back to life and made a robot out of him.
Right.
You built a city on wheels. You built computers out of pipes. And a toaster has you amazed.
Oh, if only I had a spring. Damn it.
Damn. Like, really, Hugo? That's what we're going with here?
Like the whole way the riddle gets solved, that's one of those, like, that is embarrassing that you wrote that. You could be the biggest fan of these books and love this movie, and you'd have to hit that point and go, ugh, I wouldn't have wrote that.
Yeah. Yeah, but excuse me. That might have been better in the book.
Oh, no, it was.
Yeah, okay. Have you read the books?
No. I just read a lot about them because I was very curious about this.
Yeah.
And just going plot point by plot point, I was like, huh, yeah, I see how this works. Plus, he originally wrote this way before it came out as an adult book, and he couldn't sell it. And then it was suggested to him by the publisher, like, look, why don't you write it for a YA? That's popular now.
Well, we had, and you know what? He probably just went home and just like, okay, and then came back and didn't do shit and just said, I did it.
just adjusted the ages. There we go.
Because we had
font to Comic Sans. Kids now.
He drew stick figures in it.
This is gonna be one of those movies that little kids go see when they're like 8, 9 years old and love it and be like, yeah, that movie's great. Mortal Engines. They'll be 17, 18. Mortal Engines is great. And then they'll be like 22 in college, watch it again and be like, yeah, this shit sucks. Because there's so much that for little kids to enjoy. It's so simple. Oh, the betrayals are so simple, and so I think kids will really like this movie. I think people.
I see it dying.
I can
They're
see
projecting
that
it to do 10 million. I think it's going to do less than that.
Probably.
And it's already out in like the UK and
Yeah.
like Australia and shit now. So.
And reviews have been really bad.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yes.
This is also just this is not spoilery, just vague. This is the second base USB ending I've seen in a movie this week. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. where a USB drive was the key to success, and I'm like, Yeah, the other one did it better. A lot.
But it wasn't a Victorian USB drive.
It wasn't powered by steam.
It wasn't the eye of Agamemnon.
And the thumb drive didn't have a top hat.
Man.
Do you like what you've just seen? Well, you must have. I mean, you're still sitting there. Just go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know you want to. And if you want more of it, then go over to our website, doubletoasted.com, where you can not only see a longer form version of this video right here, but also the live streams that we do almost every night of the week. Support us over at dtmerch.com. And remember, stay toasty.